How's it going, everyone? This is your Astrology Horoscope for Friday, February 16th, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moonbase. Hope you guys are having a great week. It's good to be here with all of you. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. This moon is squaring the sun today, so this is the final square the moon in Taurus is going to be making to these Aquarius planets. So this moon has been going through some shit. It's been exciting. It's been challenging. It's been uncomfortable. It's been anxious. A lot of anxieties come up. It's been nervous. And on top of that, Taurus's ruling planet comes into Aquarius to conjunct Pluto. And this is the final personal planet that is going to make this conjunction with Pluto, as we've seen with Mars and Mercury. So this is when relationship stuff starts getting really intense. Very intense, and how our values really get tested, and a lot of deep stuff within our relationships, and what we desire in a relationship is starting to come up. This is like, it's like Pluto's like kind of sandwiched here in between Mars and Venus. So the masculine and feminine energy with Pluto is so strong, it's so powerful. It's just very high libido, high intensity, right? Like this can bring up a lot of trauma that's associated with our intimacy issues, and it can feel kind of detached and removed at the same time, but also like very possessive. It can bring up a lot of possessive energy in relationships. And I definitely think how our relationships and our values are transforming are really starting to show themselves. And this moon making this square to the sun as Venus comes into Aquarius. And now we have the stellium and this little sandwich here with all these planets. We have 5 planets in Aquarius: the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, and Pluto. So I think the moon is kind of beating out the sun today. It's like this moon's at its exaltation, right? Venus is changing signs to come into contact with Pluto. So it's like, this Venus in Aquarius is kind of fun, but at the same time, it's a little removed from the emotion, which can make it fun, It's Venus in Aquarius wants to be detached and kind of, have one foot in, one foot out. But this Venus-Pluto conjunction is very intense and it's very bonding. If you have a Venus-Scorpio or you have Venus conjunction or Venus opposition in your chart, like, this energy very well. This is like that bondage energy that's just like when two people get together or when two magnets come together, you can't pull them apart. It's that very magnetic, deep, highly sexual, potent energy. And especially with Mars here, it's just like Venus is following the footsteps of Mars right now. So it's just like the masculine's leading the way. But this can really get into some deep, intense stuff within our relationships. And I definitely think partnerships that are forming together right now, of new people coming into your lives, there's definitely new people coming into our lives and new connections coming in with all this Aquarius energy. But it's just like with this Mars, Venus, with Pluto, it's like every relationship that is starting to form is in a very potent kind of deep bond, right? And it's that can be dangerous, but it can also be very tight, right? And this moon in Taurus wants to feel secure. So this, with Pluto too, and this Venus-Pluto conjunction, it's like it can bring up a lot of trust issues, and paranoia in relationships. And it's kind of like the energy where you just kind of create scenarios in your head that aren't even real, and you project them outwardly, unconsciously, and it's just like, you want to create healthy boundaries in relationships, but also, you want to have that deep trust that Venus-Pluto can really bring on. That desire for trust and that deep connection. This is very, very potent. This is very sexual. There's something within our desires that we really need to be fulfilled. We just don't want to be taking the road of trying to fulfill our desires just to fill a gap or fill a hole, or some unconscious kind of projection or some unconscious action that we kind of let get out of our control. This is very much, we want to have some self-control with this energy. And self-control and boundaries is very important right now. This moon squaring the sun, while this is happening, it's like, okay, the moon is finally off all of these squares, and it's just, okay, now we can start to find some comfort with this moon here. And I think as well, as rapidly as things have changed and as rapid as our environments have changed, I really think now it's like we have to kind of let go of the control. We don't have any planets in Capricorn now. Everything's in Aquarius. So that's the thing. It's like we're so used to Pluto being in Capricorn, and now it's not. Now it's like, oh shit, we're really feeling this brand new vibration of Aquarius that we've never felt in our lifetime. And, I definitely think the intensity that can come up in our relationships and our desires and what we want, and what we want to manifest and how we want to create, and the people we want to be with and the people we want to connect with, but also with this Venus, Pluto, and Mars all together like this, it's like what we don't want. It's like, I definitely don't want this in my life. It's pretty black or white with this energy. This isn't Pisces. This isn't mutable energy. We have Neptune and Saturn in Pisces, but we don't have a lot of fire, and we definitely don't have a lot of water. There's a lot of air and a lot of earth. We have Chiron in the North Node, but it's still there's a lot of earth and a lot of air today. So it's it could be kind of aloof. We could feel a little in outer space, but I think today is the day where it's our desires are really coming up. It's how do we feel that? How do we be aware of healthy ways to tap into our desires and fulfill our desires, but not let the unconscious drive the ship, which is what Pluto can do if we're not actively trying to gain more consciousness and face our shadow and be more aware of our unconscious behaviors, right? I think Pluto is very much the unconscious and the collective unconscious. The masculine and feminine energy with Mars and Pluto here sandwiching Pluto. It's our idea of what masculine and feminine energy is transforming big time. Our relationships are transforming big time. How we go about our desires are transforming big time. And especially with Pluto not in Capricorn and no planets in Capricorn, we might just have sudden changes of how we feel about our love lives and our partnerships and our finance and our money and, our physical being and our power. We don't want to be wielding power over people in relationships, because that will always backfire with Venus-Pluto conjunction. I will say, I've seen a lot of powerful people on this planet who have had Venus-Pluto conjunctions, who have had a lot of sexual issues, right? Of wanting to control through sexual power, right? Andrew Tate, I think some things he says are pretty good, but let's be honest with you. Well, let's just be honest. That motherfucker has a Venus-Scorpio, Pluto-Scorpio conjunction, right? So he's been accused of sexual crimes, right? And if you watch any of his content or hear anything he has to say, it's all about holding power over women, right? Using his sexual power for gain. That's what he went to jail for. Even there are people, I'm not even going to, I forgot the guy's name. He's one of the main people in the yoga community who led the Kundalini community. back in the 60s. He had a Venus-Pluto in Cancer conjunction. He was accused of raping lots of women, right? Like holding power over people with sexual energy. Like that can come up a lot. I think too with this Venus-Pluto, there might be more information coming out about the whole Epstein thing. Like, you know, there could be some powerful figures with Pluto here and with this Venus here that could, you know, some, you know, more accusations about sexual crimes coming out with this energy, you know. We can see that coming up here. But for us, like as individuals, like this is very intense energy and we have to learn how to utilize it and harness it because it's so fresh. We haven't felt it. You know, we've been feeling Venus and Capricorn conjuncting Pluto for the past 15 years. So this is a whole new wave. This is a whole new frequency and we have to learn how to wield it, right? It's like with great power comes great responsibility. That's what they say, right? And we associate that with Saturn. But I think when it comes to power, this is all about Pluto. You know, people born with Mars-Pluto conjunction or Venus-Pluto conjunction are very intense, very powerful people. They're very attractive. They're very magnetic. And this energy is incredibly magnetic. Like you can feel the magnetism between the people that we're with and that we're connected with starting to really merge. Like this is a energy where things start to merge, you know, and when we can merge, we can transform, you know, and that's kind of what sexual energy is all about is that merging of the masculine and the feminine energy to transmute or to create something new. You know, I mean, Pluto is very much like a reproductive kind of energy as well. So I think where the masculine and feminine energy is transforming is also associated with this Chiron North Node conjunction. So this is all happening at once. You know, we're not going to see Chiron and the North Node come fully exact until Monday. I'm pretty sure it's Monday. But all of these aspects leading up to what that is amplifying and reflecting what these deep wounds in our individual beings have been going through. And I think this is associated with the masculine and feminine energy being so close with Pluto, with Mars and Venus, while this Chiron North Node conjunction. And we've seen that in the collective. We've seen how the matrix has manipulated what the masculine and feminine energy truly is and has kind of confused people and has misled people and has separated people, right? And when we talk about Pluto, it is about separation. Pluto is about separation and merging. So it's like like with Venus and Pluto and Mars, it's like a merging has to happen to create something new, to transmute the energy to create something new, right? But when that energy is transmuted and to create a new form, that energy always has to separate from source, right? Our first experience coming into this life is separating from source. Like when that umbilical cord is cut from the mother in the womb, like that's the first experience we have of being by ourselves. That is associated with the feeling of being alone. I'm alone. I'm on my own. All I have is my own air to breathe, right? That's kind of what this is feeling like. Is like there's this extreme bonding happening and this extreme like magnetism. Like, oh, I need this person. Like they're mine. Like I don't want anybody else to have this person except me to myself. I want this person all for me, all for myself. You're mine. I own you. And if I can't have you, I'm going to have to kill you. I'm just kidding. But that's what Venus-Pluto aspects are all about. It's very intense and it's very possessive. It's very jealous. A lot of jealousy can come up right now, you know, but this moon in Taurus has really wanted to feel comfortable over the past couple days, and it's had to deal with the sun and Mars and Pluto, you know, and Mercury yesterday, last night. And now it's like, okay, I can finally take a break, you know. I can finally catch a breath here. And Venus moving into new territory, which, Venus being the ruler of Taurus, but the moon is in Taurus. So I think with this sun at its detriment and the moon in Taurus, with Venus now changing signs, with Pluto, the moon today, I feel like is starting to really we can start to feel a little bit more emotionally settled and secure. That kind of nervous, anxious energy can kind of dwindle down just a bit, But I think the focus is down in that root chakra kind of area, that's, deep, intense desire to really want to connect and have a partnership and, share and merge and transmute the energy in a very primal way. This is Pluto. It's primal. It's the unconscious. It's the lizard brain. It's it's where we just act without thinking. We just feel it, we know, and the instinct just carries us to an action. There's so much intellectual and analytical energy with Mercury and Aquarius and all these Aquarius planets. But the irony and the juxtaposition is this Venus-Pluto, Mars in Aquarius, which is very intellectual, analytical. But it's this kind of challenge of being able to think before you act, right? You want to try to think before you act as much as you possibly can, because our instincts and our primal energy and our lizard brains are kind of driving the ship now that Venus is here. And it's going to touch Pluto and with Mars. And then Venus and Mars are going to conjunct. And then 2 years ago, it was the Venus-Mars conjunction. So this is a whole 2-year experience of this Venus-Mars conjunction, wrapping things up here, but it's with Pluto in Aquarius. Interesting. So this 2-year cycle of this Mars-Venus kind of transmutation now is finishing its cycle with Pluto. So now we're going to witness the transformation of what we've been going through the past 2 years. So think about the past 2 years. What was that like? Because it's about to transform over these next few weeks here. So this is a very deep day. Very, very deep. This is the best way to put it. It's you want to trust your instincts. I think now it's we're able to really trust our instincts too, but we want to be able to intellectualize it and, think about it and think about our actions before we just fully let our desires take over, right? It's you got to cook before you eat. You got to catch the ball before you run. I played sports growing up, so it's you say, hey, you don't want to run before you catch the ball because you're going to drop the ball, So it's it's very intense. This is very intense, but at least the moon's getting a break today, which is nice. I love the moon in Taurus. I'm a Taurus. I'm a Taurus rising, Taurus Venus. So I love it here. And at the same time, I think this is kind of setting up what this Uranus-Jupiter conjunction is going to be. Jupiter is on its way to being the second decan. It went retrograde at 15 degrees. So once it gets out of shadow, we're going to start seeing some real manifestation come through here. But a lot of our relationship issues need to be dealt with. I think with this South Node Libra, we don't want to be too judgmental. We don't want to be caught in a place of judgment. We don't want to be caught in the moping of things being unfair or things didn't work out and it was unfair. It's it always works out. And that's what Jupiter really always kind of shows us too, is that things will always work out and you will always be provided with what you need. Doesn't necessarily mean Jupiter's going to, give you $1 billion, but it will always provide you with everything that you need as long as you're manifesting your path and your future and your destiny and the voice within you in a positive way and not of a dark way. With this Venus, Pluto, and Mars too, it's like there can be some dark energy. That's what I was talking about with people born with that. Like, there's this common theme with powerful people with Venus, Pluto conjunctions that can use their power in a dark way for their own gain. And it always backfires. It will always backfire. Anybody using their sexual energy or their charisma, their manipulative capabilities for dark reasons to manipulate people, or using spiritual gifts or tools to manipulate in dark ways, like, it never works out. I think Aleister Crowley is a great example who, I've read some of his work. I've read the Book of the Law. Like, I have his tarot deck here, which I love. It's one of my favorite decks, but if you study his history, it's like he really got into some really deep, dark places and used his gifts for dark shit that eventually backfired on him and killed him. Or maybe he killed himself. I don't know. I think he might have committed suicide. But yeah, that's going to come up a lot. And I think in the collective, especially with Aquarius, this is all about the collective with Venus, Pluto conjunction with Mars. We're definitely going to see more of this sexual energy accusations coming out. Maybe some shit about the Epstein stuff. Who knows? I think there's going to be more of that coming to the surface here, where sexual power was used in a wrong way, right? So, you got to be able to discern what is valuable and where you put your energy towards your desires. Is this valuable, or is this just my temporary fix or needs? That's very Venus Pluto too. It's like, how long term do you want to be? And I got the Strength card here. So, it's like we can really, and this is what's exciting with this Venus Pluto conjunction and with Mars. This is like a renewal energy. This is very much like a sense of being fulfilled and renewed. And, I think our libido is kind of being rejuvenated. Finally, it's been a long time. We can feel a little tired and wiped out from the intensity, but at least it's like we're getting recharged here and finding a new source of strength. And I think where that's coming into is very Venus Pluto, is being able to just sever and cut ties where you have to and not hold on to things and let go. It's like, with Scorpio, which Venus Pluto conjunction is very scorpionic energy, and Mars too. The traditional ruling planet of Scorpio. This is like very Scorpio energy, very deep 8th house root chakra energy. So I think that a new strength that we can find is being able to sever and cut ties where things have been unhealthy. And that also is, speaking to the nodes, the South Node in Libra, and this North Node Chiron conjunction. And with this moon squaring the sun today, it's like we're ready to just break free, and be in our own zone, be in our own lane. But we can only be there if we're not holding on to things that really don't help us get to a better, healthier place for our future. So I think we can start finding a new strength with these personal planets coming into contact with Pluto and moving past Pluto and finally letting go and severing and cutting ties, and acceptance as well. I think acceptance, we can find strength. Being able to stand up for ourselves, we can find strength. And hold our value, we can find strength, right? And, I think too, it's like this can bring on new exciting ways and new thought processes and new connections within our minds to help us break patterns and break cycles, but also invent and innovate new things and innovate new ways of going about relationships. I think with this Mars and Venus Pluto, it's like our relationships are transforming so much, and how we go about the masculine and feminine energy is transmuting in a different way. So, there's a lot of strength to be had in being willing to transform and, take a different path. So it's just very intense energy. I mean, and we're finally, moving into a different phase. Pisces season's going to feel way different than January and, the beginning, middle of February. We're going to start to feel Saturn come in here when the Sun and Saturn and Mercury come together, which I'm excited about. I'm excited about that one, because without Pluto here and without any Capricorn planets, it's like, where's the structure, right? I mean, if you've been putting in the work, you set a solid foundation, so you don't have to worry about, finding a structure. But if you haven't really put in the effort, haven't really put in the work, the Sun, Saturn, Mercury conjunction in Pisces may be a little difficult, where it's like, damn, they have nothing to hold on to. There's nothing physical because everything's in, Aquarius and soon to be Pisces. So we are past the physical plane of reality here. And I think it's going to give us a good glimpse of what no Pluto and Capricorn is going to feel like. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. If you're new here, subscribe to my channel, like this video, share this video. All the links to my platforms are in the description of this video. If you want to book a reading with me, click the link to my website in the description. And my Pluto and Aquarius sale is still going on till February 19th. All of February was booked. There are spots still in March. They're filling up, but there's still a few left. So if you want to book a reading for March, the link is in the description. And my Instagram and my Spotify and the TikTok and all that stuff. So I appreciate every one of you for being here, and I will see you all for the weekend. Peace out.